There's no such thing as a typical book tour anymore. And so there's freedom in that. There's not a set template as there may have been in the past. We're going to hit this many stores in this many states, do this many signings. And that's all still good, great, and grand. But that has changed, and certainly in a post-pandemic era that has changed as well. And so number one is release, maybe some of that burden of thinking that there's only one way to do this. There's many different ways to do this, many ways to be successful at it. And so we could talk about just a few of those things or components of those that you can work on yourself as an author. Certainly building these relationships, kind of going back to the personal branding question, is that gone are the days of just the publisher doing everything, right? As long as we get lay down in the stores and line up a book tour, everything's going to flow. People are discovering books differently. They're discovering authors differently. They're discovering personal brands differently than they used to. And so taking some of that into account, certainly there can be in-store tours, there can be signings, those can still be highly effective. And so understanding, where the laydown of the book is, independent stores, even chain stores, Barnes & Nobles, are they doing signings in your area? Are they doing them in your region? It can certainly look like an in-store component. Publisher should be able to work with you on that and help facilitate some of those relationships. There's also media tours, of course. And so media is an ever-evolving challenge, of course, and the types of stories they want to cover, the types of people that they want to have, that's always changing. But there's certainly a chance to still be on television, be on, radio, be on some of the traditional PR hits. And again, your publisher should, likely have a publicist assigned or some sort of PR inroads that you can leverage to then have a bit of a, quote, media tour, though, again, it may look a little different. It may be you doing it from home virtually in a post-2020 world. There's also podcast tours. You could think of, I worked with an author on a special project one time where he simply said, we decided as a team, he's going to do 75 podcasts for book launch. And he had most of the relationships. We certainly helped and facilitated and emboldened him in that. But that was something that he had already built up and he brought to the table, which is gold for us. So he really did a podcast tour. And that's every bit as much of a, quote, media tour as going on TV used to be. You can also do social media. You can also line up several accounts, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, whatever it is, TikTok even, and you can go be interviewed and have back and forth and collaborative posts. And so all that's to say it's very diversified these days. And so I would say think about where you're most comfortable, where you can flourish, where you already have relationships that you can nurture and leverage in the best sense of the term when a book is coming out. And see what combination of, is it in-store, is it media traditionally, is it podcast tour, is it social media, is it a blogger network tour where you get 15 blogs that are already speaking to who should be your audience? Are you able to then do a blog tour, if you will? And so all that's to say it can really look different for every author, but that's part of the fun of building that campaign, is saying, where are the people that need this book? Who's already speaking to those people? And how can I help bring value to not only that outlet, but also that audience? And that's where I think you're going to find kind of some of the beautiful connection in terms of what might have once been called a book tour, though it can look very different these days.